You've heard of the Book of Enoch, of the watchers who fell, of the giants who walked the earth. But what if I told you? There's another book, ancient, banned from most Bibles, that tells the same story, but with secrets Enoch never revealed. This is the Book of Jubilees, and what it says about the Nephilim and the Watchers might just blow your mind. Hidden within the pages of an ancient text, lost to most modern Bibles, lies a version of biblical history you've probably never heard. A book that claims to reveal the secret calendar of heaven, a divine timeline written not by men, but by angels. The Book of Jubilees, also called the Little Genesis, isn't just a retelling of the stories you know from Genesis and Exodus. It's a reprogramming. It reorganizes time into precise blocks of 49 years called Jubilees, suggesting that all of history unfolds according to a divine cosmic clock. It paints the patriarchs Adam, Noah, Abraham, not just as figures of faith, but as keepers of the law long before Moses ever stepped foot on Sinai. It pushes for a pure solar calendar, one that clashes with the lunar calendar of mainstream Judaism. It hints at deeper divisions between priesthoods, between visions of time, even between worlds. And while it briefly mentions the fallen angels and the giants of old, the way it handles these ancient mysteries is subtle, almost like it's hiding something. But there's a reason this book was treasured by the Essenes, a reason it was buried with the Dead Sea Scrolls, and a reason it never made it into most Bibles. Because buried in its timeline, its laws, and its silences is something esoteric, something strange about the origin of evil, the war in heaven, and maybe even the rewriting of history itself. Stay with me, because the deeper we go into Jubilees, the more it begins to feel like something was hidden on purpose. The Book of Jubilees also touches on a few topics from the Book of Enoch, such as the Watchers. The Watchers, for those who don't know, are a group of angels tasked to watch over humanity before they eventually lusted for women and interbred with humans, creating Nephilim giants. However, even though the Book of Jubilees speaks on the same topics as the Book of Enoch, we receive different information on the subjects. In the Book of Jubilees, the Watchers weren't fallen yet. God assigned them to help humanity resist the influence of demons, but some fell to temptation and corrupted themselves. Jubilees frames it as a mission gone wrong, not rebellion from the start like in Enoch. Jubilees 5:2-6 emphasizes the idea that the Nephilim were directly responsible for the spreading of sin, violence, and corruption on earth. While the Book of Enoch talks a lot about what the Watchers taught, Jubilees focuses more on the chaos their children caused. Enoch gives the backstory, but Jubilees connects the Nephilim's existence directly to the cause of the global flood more explicitly, like they broke the world's natural order. In Jubilees, God isn't just disappointed, he's exceedingly angry. In Enoch, the Watchers plead with Enoch to intercede for them. In Jubilees, there's no mercy arc. It's direct divine wrath, no second chances, no appeals, total judgment. While the Book of Enoch mentions the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim becoming evil spirits, Jubilees goes deeper, especially in chapter 10. It even has Noah praying to God to remove the spirits from the earth because of the chaos they're causing. Then God binds 90% of them, but leaves 10% of the evil spirits free under the leadership of Mastema, a Satan-like figure, for testing humanity. Jubilees is obsessed with divine law, order, and timelines. It frames the sin of the Watchers and the Nephilim as not just immoral, but a cosmic disruption of time and order. This perspective is more legalistic and structured than the more mystical tone of Enoch. So who is Mastema? He's a unique figure introduced in Jubilees. He's not quite Satan, but definitely satanic. He leads the remaining evil spirits, and he becomes an adversary who tests humanity, kind of like Satan in the Book of Job. Mastema is allowed to tempt and accuse, but always under God's permission. He's a powerful, shadowy figure who doesn't show up in Enoch, but shapes the spiritual battle in Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees never calls him Satan outright, but he is clearly a satanic figure. The name Mastima comes from a Hebrew root meaning hatred, hostility, or enmity. He is literally the prince of enmity. His job, to oppose, to accuse, to test. He's described as the one who brings down plagues, stirs up conflict, and tempts mankind into evil, only so that God's justice might be proven. Sound familiar? In Jubilees, Mastima appears again and again behind the scenes of biblical events. He tries to kill Moses when he is still an infant. He is the one who persuades God to test Abraham by commanding him to sacrifice Isaac. He sends plagues and diseases, manipulates nations into war, and provokes people to sin. And always, he does it legally, within the bounds that God permits. He is the dark hand of divine judgment, not acting independently, but as a tool of divine justice. But don't mistake that for mercy. Mastima is cold, merciless, strategic. He is a reminder that in the biblical worldview of Jubilees, the war between good and evil is not black and white. It's a complex balance of freedom, trial, and consequence. Evil is not just chaos, it has a structure, a hierarchy. And at the top of that hierarchy, Mastema sits as the commander of the remaining unclean spirits, the 10th who still roam the earth. In modern terms, you might call him the prosecuting attorney of heaven, but with a twisted sense of purpose. He does not wish to redeem, only to expose and accuse. And the idea that such a being still operates even after the flood, even with divine permission, changes how we view the spiritual battlefield of the world. In short, Mastema is not just a demon. He's not just an adversary. He's the architect of temptation, the gatekeeper of trials, and the prince of enmity. He is both a servant of God and a scourge to mankind, a necessary evil allowed to roam for the sake of testing and exposing the hearts of men.